hear okay?
You'll definitely be able to hear me. I've never been told I'm too quiet before. So, my name is Charlie Plyman. I'm the Oregon Field Manager for Surfrider Foundation. I am employed by Surfrider Foundation. I work for our volunteers, our members here in Oregon. We have chapters up and down the coast, from Astoria all the way down to Curry County and in Portland. And I work with our chapters on issues, campaigns, and other programs that they have. And for some time now, our Newport chapter here in Newport has had a lot of concern with the Georgia Pacific's pulp mill permit, specifically with some of the findings of the Department of Environmental Quality, which led to some of the things that Carl touched on, which was a petition to reconsider that permit in 2006. I'm going to try and give you a little bit of background on the Nye Beach community and why we care so much about this area, why it's an interest to our members and our chapter. Going back to the 1800s, this area where the Georgia Pacific outfall is at is just off of Nye Beach, and it's been a very, very popular recreational destination. In fact, it was a resort at one time. A guy named Henry Milthorne was actually President Hoover's stepfather. Built the first sea bath here. He was encouraged by the benefits of healthy living from a seaside community. And so he built a sea bath sanatorium here. And over the years, we've seen lots of different uses. Since that sea bath sanatorium, there's been a lot of different types of uses that have come in here. Clams have been a very popular thing in the Nye Beach community, all the way up to your point ahead, a lot of clamming. Ocean recreation, you can see these pictures from the late 1800s of folks walking around on the beach, pretty good crowd out there. And then evolving into kind of today, we see that those beneficial uses even increasing. We see a lot more recreational activities actually happening out in the water with the advance of wetsuits and other things that keep us nice and warm. Clamming, very, very popular. And then there's the historic Nye Beach business community, which really depends on a thriving, healthy ecosystem around them. So what is this about? This is a slide actually from one of our members who presented this to our board a few years back, and I like this slide, and so I thought I'd bring it out for this conversation. For us, it's about place, first and foremost. This is, as I mentioned, it's a rich place. Both ecology and economics and culture are important to us. And so a major piece of that is conserving that ecology, that economic vibrance in the culture. And we do that through collaboration, we do that through activism. Reducing impacts of a specific activity. What we're looking at here is a very specific activity. Georgia Pacific has a need to discharge their waste off of Nye Beach, is where that happens, and we're looking to reduce those impacts of that specific activity. So it's really about, for us, trying to make a permit better and reducing waste. Finally, it's really about affecting statewide policy and management. When we look at the grand scheme of how our nearshore is managed with respect to ocean water quality, there's not a whole lot going on for monitoring. We have one program in the state of Oregon for ocean water quality monitoring that the state actually runs, and that's a beach monitoring program, and they do that for bacteria. But outside of that, all of the research and everything that's being done in the nearshore isn't really within our state agencies. It's actually through research institutes. Folks like Jack Barth and PISCO and COAS, a lot of other great groups out there doing work. I'm going to be speeding along really fast here, so I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm on speed. I'm really not. I'm just trying to get through this and hammer out everything. The permit process and Surfrider's engagement. This has been a very, very lengthy process, kind of moving at glacial speed, and it started back in 2001. I think Carl did a nice job of kind of highlighting a lot of the real specific points. I'm just going to go generally here and mention, it started off 2001 was when the permit expired, and GP went ahead at that point and timely filed for renewal. What we're talking about here today is an NPDES permit. NPDES stands for National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. And that's just what we call, under the Clean Water Act, that's what we call our system, more or less, and maybe Steve will touch on that a little bit more, for how the state permits discharges. At that time in 2001, it had caused a fair amount of public concern, and then in 2006, DEQ went ahead and reissued the permit. And as Carl mentioned, there were a lot of things that sort of happened in between. There was a lot of opportunity for folks to sort of voice their concerns, and a lot of folks really did come out and do that. But what we found was that in that 5-year lag, we had a time between 2001 and 2006, we really just exacerbated the issue. People felt like they weren't heard. The permit was reissued. There was a lot of time for people to come and go in and out of the issue and not really understand what had happened in all those intermediary steps. Addressing and reading through a permit is a very, very lengthy thing and not something easy for the layman to pick up. And so even just explaining this to you guys today took a lot of thought for myself, and I know for Steve, really wrestled over a lot of the technical stuff that he's going to be presenting as well. In September, we filed a petition to reconsider the permit. I should note that this is an administrative action. It's not a legal action. We were not suing DEQ by any means. We were simply outlining our major concerns with the permit and giving DEQ the opportunity to really take a harder look at some of those concerns and reconsider that. And so that was, as Carl mentioned, accepted in October of that year. 2 years later, when we hadn't really gotten a whole lot back from the department on this, we felt like it was important to be proactive and take a collaborative step. And so our members worked really hard for about 6 months on publishing a scientific resources and recommendations document. And this was really designed to try and help DEQ, which we found out later really wasn't a whole lot of help, I guess, but to help DEQ and the permit reconsideration process. And finally, in 2009 is when DEQ issued the permit, reissued that, and that had some changes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So I just wanted to give you kind of the scope, because a lot's happened in 9 years, and this doesn't even include all the many, many meetings that have happened in between, and the other processes that are happening as well. Kind of in response, I want to jump back to 2006, in response to some of the comments upon the permit reissue back in 2006, we had a lot of concerns. One, what we heard from the department was that there was a lack of resources. And we're all aware of limited resources of state agencies, but to us it didn't feel like an ample excuse, particularly given the volume of wastewater that was coming out here and the number of concerns of folks in the community. And so we didn't feel like it was okay just to hear we can't do that, which is what we were kind of hearing from DEQ. And then we were also hearing the perpetual kind of permitting rut of this is what we always do, and we're not going to change unless we get sued on it. These are direct quotes actually from public meetings, and so this was really concerning to us in 2006 when we got this back. And we were like, well, we can collaborate here or we can sue them. And it almost felt like at that time like we were being invited to sue the department. And instead, we took another path and said, you know what? I think that we can step back here, let's reevaluate this issue, let's give the department, particularly since they're limited in resources, ample opportunity to really evaluate this, and let's file a petition to reconsider this permit. So along with about 4 or 5 other environmental